A voice questions if you've ever witnessed hell, stating that for as long as they can remember, their life has been a living hell every day. In the kingdom of Finelo, a battered blonde girl groans before a cruel, pink-haired princess sitting on a throne. Declaring her nothing but a toy, the princess says the girl will serve as a chewing toy for her future phantom beast. The princess suddenly screams in pain, her thumb bleeding after the blonde girl bites back. A guard rushes to intervene as the princess shrieks at the lowly slave to let go of her leg. With blood on her lips and defiance in her eyes, the blonde girl holds on as the princess screams for help. The princess threatens to have her father kill the guards, unless they get the girl off her immediately. The princess cries in pain over her bitten leg, while the blonde girl clutches her own head, still defiant. Furious, the princess orders the girl's teeth to be pulled out before she's thrown into the arena. As a guard drags her away, the girl internally narrates that she has no memory of her origins or family. She reflects that she was cursed with a body that can recover from any injury, purely for the entertainment of others. The story shifts to the Sky Coliseum, the liveliest place in Finelo where people gather for high-stakes competition. An elegant woman is introduced as a magician, one of the classes that competes in the world. A formidable warrior is shown, followed by a blue-haired woman riding a massive, summoned lion. An explanation begins. The world originally only had magicians with elemental affinities and warriors. Warriors, unlike magicians, rely on intense physical training to continuously enhance their bodily strength. 800 years ago, the continent was invaded by dead spirits, serving a dark god, using strange and irresistible spells. The invasion plunged the world into chaos, with humanity being mercilessly slaughtered by the dark forces. At the height of the crisis, the leaders of the human and orc tribes formed an alliance, giving birth to the first summoners. Humans and beasts formed a life bond, connecting them by blood to share in all glory and hardship. With the orcs' help, the dead spirits were sealed away, but over time, the non-human race's power began to fade. Now, the other races have vanished from the continent, with only a few humans inheriting the rare legacy of the summoner. These rare individuals are sought by phantom beasts, but back in the present, the arena is filled with vicious criminals. A mustachioed announcer cheerfully explains that the criminals serve their sentences by fighting in the competitions. Another prisoner threatens to crush the blonde girl later as she huddles in a cell, beginning to describe her own weakness. She concludes her thought, with no magic, martial arts, or summoning ability, she is the weakest slave in the Colosseum. Her weakness is proven as a man named Jason easily defeats her, his boot on her chest. She is shown being defeated again, this time thrown through the air by the powerful warrior Vale. In another loss, she lies helpless before a massive fireball as Magician Connor is declared the victor. She realizes the audience loves watching her get tortured, as her unique healing physique makes her the perfect spectacle for their depravity. Crawling in agony, she knows that since they can't kill her, her torture is endless. With a sudden, fierce determination burning in her eyes, she makes a silent vow to herself. She swears that she will have revenge on every single person who oppressed her. Feeling dizzy and about to collapse, she hears a voice ask if she wants to leave this place. A mysterious figure in a red hood stands before her, promising to take her from the arena and protect her. The figure reveals himself to be a kind-faced, white-haired man who extends his hand to her. Her thoughts drift to the sky as she realizes her greatest dream of leaving the arena is coming true. She can hardly believe her dream was fulfilled so easily as the man carries her through a beautiful garden. After being cleaned and cared for, she asks her rescuer how she can possibly repay him for his kindness. He tells her that her recovery is the only gift he needs, leaving her stunned by a kindness she has never known. She watches the door close behind him, standing in a quiet, contemplative silence. Clutching her chest, she wonders about the strange, fluttering feeling in her heart, an emotion entirely new to her. As she lies in bed, she accepts her new reality, feeling as though she is becoming a person she no longer recognizes. Her thoughts are suddenly interrupted by a powerful roar echoing from within the room. Her eyes flash open, reflecting a brilliant light as she is startled by the sound. Sitting up in shock, she discovers a magnificent, white-winged unicorn standing before her bed. She recoils in fear, frantically searching for a hidden dagger as the majestic beast bows its head and calls her Master. She can only stare back, completely bewildered by the creature's single word. As the glowing creature stands before her, the impossible truth dawns on her. This phantom beast is her familiar. The magnificent winged unicorn introduces himself with divine authority. His name is Dracon. Dracon pledges his life to her as his master, leaving the blonde girl stunned by his power and confused about her own supposed lack of aptitude. He corrects her, explaining that her aptitude is actually far superior to that of other humans. In fact, her power is so great that it has attracted the covetous attention of scumbags. The scene shifts to the pink-haired princess confronting her brother, the white-haired man, demanding to know why he hasn't made a move on the worthless slave he took in a month ago. He dismisses her concerns, explaining that attacking the girl would be meaningless since her familiar has not yet appeared. He reveals his true intentions, stating that he is simply coaxing her so she will voluntarily give up her familiar, as the contract cannot be broken otherwise. The princess scoffs, suggesting torture, but her brother reminds her that years of torture never made the girl surrender. He reveals their father suspects her familiar might be a divine beast, something the kingdom of Finelo hasn't had in over 200 years. Unfazed, the princess confidently declares that when she becomes an adult, her familiar will undoubtedly be a divine beast. Back in the present, Dracon explains to his new master that he saw this entire conversation through a shared memory technique while tracking her scent. Realizing the kindness she received was a lie, the blonde girl's expression hardens with rage and betrayal. With a flap of his mighty wings, Dracon carries her into the night sky, beginning their escape. He tells his master she needs to rest, but she insists she can hold on. As they approach a cliff, Dracon offers to carry her across on his back. Suddenly sensing danger, Dracon warns his master to be careful. Golden chains erupt from the ground, wrapping around the blonde girl and pulling her from Dracon's back. The scene transitions to a feather falling against a dark, ornate background. Dazed, the blonde girl realizes Dracon must have grabbed her, her fall cushioned by his soft feathers as she weakly calls his name, Aura. Their escape is cut short as the white-haired man appears before them, accompanied by a massive golden snake. He coolly questions her attempt to leave without a word, twisting her previous offer of repayment into a new, sinister obligation. Dracon shields his master, declaring that the man's deception is over, for he has already revealed the entire plan. The white-haired man feels the immense pressure from the familiar, realizing his father was right, it is a divine beast. Attempting to de-escalate, he calmly addresses Aura, suggesting there has been a misunderstanding. Enraged, Dracon roars for the man to get out. He unleashes a torrent of fire, forcing the man to command his golden snake to block the attack. Dracon scoffs at the small snake and incinerates it with his divine flame. Before Dracon can press the attack, the golden chains ensnare his master, and he cries out her name. As Aura is painfully bound, Dracon roars for her captor to let her go. Arg! Aura screams in agony as the chains tighten. The glowing chains continue to bind her tightly. Dracon struggles against the chains binding him as well, questioning what they are. The white-haired man smirks, telling Dracon it's useless to resist, as he is destined to serve the Finelo kingdom. Aura looks up in disbelief, asking if he approached her just to steal her familiar. He calmly states that he never wanted to be rude, but she forced his hand by trying to run away without permission, offering to keep her safe if she gives up the contract. Leaning in close, he cruelly taunts her, suggesting she must want to be his lover because she likes him. Stop daydreaming, Aura shouts, smashing her head into his face and drawing blood. Even as blood trickles down her chin, she glares with defiance, declaring that, even in death, she will never let him get what he wants. Unfazed, the man wipes the blood from his lip and orders his golden snake to torture her until she gives up. A voice echoes in Aura's mind, asking if she trusts him, causing her to wonder who this Dracon is. She looks at her familiar, who confirms that they are one and the same. The man coldly orders more force to be applied, determined to break her will. As her body is racked with pain, Aura apologizes to Dracon, believing she's about to die and lamenting that she's a poor master who can only watch as he's taken away. The white-haired man watches with a victorious smile as Aura cries out in despair over her uselessness. Dracon lets out a powerful roar, his form glowing with intense energy. "Master, don't cry," he says, reassuring her that he will never betray her. Aura asks what he means, just as the white-haired man realizes with horror what the familiar is about to do. With a final, desperate cry, Dracon shatters his own horn against the magical chains. The chains break, and both Dracon and a freed Aura begin to fall from the sky. Falling through a bloody magic circle, Aura screams Dracon's name in despair. On the ground, the wounded and chained Dracon is surrounded by soldiers, who curse that the woman escaped while ordering their men to control the beast. The scene shifts to a quiet, isolated frontier town at night as a faint voice calls for its master. A hand rests peacefully as a vibrant, magical energy begins to bloom. A black-haired man with a golden circlet awakens amidst thorny flowers, annoyed as he asks who dares to wake him. With a bored expression, the powerful-looking man declares his profound ennui. He looks down at an unconscious and battered Aura, thinking to himself that he is drawn to her powerful scent of despair. As two unseen voices debate licking the unconscious girl, she suddenly jolts awake, screaming Dracon's name. Sitting up in a dark, cavernous place, a disoriented Aura wonders where she is. A voice informs her that she is in the demon's capital city, the isolated frontier town, leaving her stunned. The black-haired man appears behind her, asking if she came from the Alten continent. He gazes at her intently, questioning if she is a believer in the God of Light. The story pauses to explain that the Church of Light is the dominant religion on the Alten continent, condemning the darkness of human nature. Narration continues, stating the Church advocates faith for redemption, while in contrast, the demons are an ancient race. These demons are identified as minions of the evil god of darkness. According to the Book of Light, a great holy war occurred 1,200 years ago between the forces of light and darkness. In the end, the God of Light successfully banished the God of Darkness and his influence from the continent. Aura's thoughts race as she tries to understand her location, the strange man, the eerie flames, and their clear hostility towards the God of Light. She looks up at the black-haired man with trepidation, asking what is going on. A small, aggressive blue flame spirit pops up, demanding the human answer its master's question quickly. By reflex, Aura trembles in fear at the shouting, a conditioned response from her past abuse. As the blue flames bicker about being too harsh, the black-haired man silences them with a single command to back off, which they immediately obey. He notices a single white feather that Aura is clutching. Aura looks down in shock, realizing she is holding one of Dracon's feathers. The man effortlessly plucks the glowing feather from her grasp. Aura lunges at him desperately, yelling for him to give it back. He contemptuously shoves her to the ground. The black-haired man examines the glowing feather in his hand with a thoughtful silence. Pushing herself up, Aura glares with fierce determination, demanding he return the precious item. Grabbing her by the wrist, he coolly informs her that he needs to borrow the feather. A faint smile crosses his lips as he utters an incantation in a demonic script. The feather is suddenly engulfed in swirling dark energy and golden lightning. A powerful surge of energy erupts from the feather as it begins to transform. A brilliant flash of light forces Aura to shield her eyes, the intense power reflected in her wide gaze. As the light fades, a tiny, winged, fox-like creature with small horns materializes and falls, and Aura cries out Dracon's name. Cradling the small creature, Aura confirms that despite his changed appearance, it is the Dracon she knows. She looks up at the black-haired man and asks how her familiar could have changed so drastically. He advises her to wait for Dracon to wake before asking questions, and then presses for an answer to his own, to which she replies that she doesn't believe in the God of Light. Looking him in the eye, she declares with newfound conviction that it is better to rely on oneself. He observes her weak and scarred form, noting her surprising desire for self-reliance even in her current state. Her eyes burning with defiance, she vows that she will become stronger than anyone else in the future. Her determined face is reflected in his captivated eye. He lets out a small laugh, remarking that she is very amusing. Turning to leave, he orders the blue flame spirits to watch over her, and they acknowledge their master's command. Aura silently watches him depart, thinking to herself, what a strange person he is. The blue flames whisper among themselves. One finds the human appetizing, another agrees she looks delicious, but a third named Siwada scolds them, warning that the master would be furious if they ate the first human to appear in centuries. The small Dracon stirs, and Aura immediately asks with concern how he is feeling. With enormous, starry eyes, the tiny Dracon looks up, seemingly disoriented. Suddenly alert, Dracon senses a strong demonic presence and warns his master to be cautious as he glares at a nearby blue flame. The blue flame spirit snaps back, annoyed, asking the little brat why it's glaring. Clutching the tiny familiar, Aura asks if they escaped together, confused by his new form, which she mistakenly attributes to the black-haired man. Her expression saddens as she remembers Dracon's sacrifice, recalling how he was trapped by their enemies while trying to help her escape. Dracon explains that he is not his real body but a clone, a secret technique of his clan that possesses the original's memories. The clone continues, stating he has 1/3 of the original's power and used a forbidden technique to save her, though his awakening was delayed by the scarce magic in the area. With dawning horror, she accepts the unfortunate truth. The real Dracon has been captured. Overwhelmed by guilt, Aura blames herself for being too weak, lamenting that she sacrificed her familiar to save her own life. Dracon comforts his master, assuring her his original body would never surrender and is waiting for her to save him, and her expression hardens with resolve. She vows to become stronger, believing that if she can become as powerful as the man who saved her, she can bring Dracon back. The scene shifts to a dark, ominous castle where shadowy bird-like creatures circle in the night. In a grand throne room, the black-haired man lets out a thoughtful hum. He looks down from his throne and asks Aura if she wants to become stronger, to which she firmly replies yes. Looking up at him with conviction, she declares once more her desire to become stronger. She stands before him in the vast hall, pleading for his help and declaring her willingness to pay any price. Intrigued, the black-haired man thoughtfully repeats her words, "Any price, you say?" A confident smirk appears on his face as he leans back on his throne. The blue flame spirits swarm around Aura, eagerly telling their master to take her extraordinary soul, which they find delicious due to its strong scent of hatred. Roar! The tiny Dracon leaps forward protectively, roaring for the spirits to back off. As Aura looks on in surprise, Dracon warns her not to make a deal with demons, insisting his original body would not want this. The black-haired man's hand rests calmly on the armrest of his throne. With a quiet but firm command, he orders everyone to be silent. A crushing pressure radiates from him, and the small Dracon finds he cannot move. The man calmly warns Aura that if she makes a deal with him, her soul and body will become food for the demons. Undeterred, she makes a counteroffer. If he makes her strong, she will bring him more humans, providing an endless supply of souls. But he rejects her proposal, stating that he is picky and only wants her soul, which he's been told is the best. As their eyes meet in a silent test of wills, the tiny Dracon desperately pleads for his master not to go through with it. A thought crosses Aura's mind as she considers that a demon's lifespan is far longer than a human's. She makes her final offer. If he helps her become stronger, she will give him her soul when she dies. A pleased smile crosses his lips as he accepts the deal, impressed by her determination. As dark, swirling energy forms in his outstretched hand, he asks for her name. Aura, she answers, just before the dark energy shoots forward, striking her forehead with a painful "Erg." As Aura clutches her head in agony, the man introduces himself as Damian Calderon. She looks up, her face a mask of confusion. Damian smirks, advising her to remember the name of her new creditor well. The scene transitions to a serene and sunlit garden path. He leads her through a beautiful garden while she tries to process what just happened. Aura touches her chest, sensing a new, vague connection to Damian, one that feels just like her bond with Dracon. "We've arrived," Damian announces, and Aura looks up from her thoughts in surprise. He explains this location has the richest spiritual energy in the region, making it the most suitable place to awaken her magical elements. Shocked, Aura questions if she can even use magic, believing it to be an innate talent that she doesn't possess. Damian confirms her talent is innate, but reveals it appears to have been sealed by someone, preventing her from sensing elemental spirits. Her fist clenches in fury as she realizes the siblings of the Finelo kingdom must be responsible for sealing her powers. As she trembles with rage, Damian turns and calmly tells her to calm down. He warns her that this spiritual energy here is so strong that if her body cannot handle it, she will explode and die. The threat of a gruesome death doesn't faze her. She knows she has already endured fates far more painful. Facing him with unwavering resolve, she declares she can handle it and vows that every bit of pain she endures will be transformed into 10 times the strength. A slight smile touches his lips as he simply tells her, "Come here." They sit together peacefully under the sprawling branches of a beautiful pink blossom tree. Damian instructs her to lower her guard, warning that the more she resists as he removes the seal, the more uncomfortable the process will be. Apologizing, she agrees to do her best, but a feeling of dread washes over her as his hand gently rests on her shoulder. As dark energy surges through her body, Damian thinks to himself that if he moves quickly, she should be able to survive the ordeal. As Damian holds Aura, he feels a trace of the God of Light's power and questions what she is doing, noting the strangeness of the seal on her. He briefly wonders if this human girl was sent by the God of Light, but quickly dismisses the idea, concluding she has nothing to do with him. A mysterious voice mocks Damian for caring about the girl, but he coolly retorts that his business is his own and tells the entity it's cute for wanting to get stronger. As a hand crushes a dark orb of energy, Aura cries out in agony, spitting blood. Damian informs her that her seal has been lifted, and from now on, everything depends on her own capabilities. In a swirling void, a voice urgently calls for its master to wake up. With a start, Aura's eyes snap open. She finds herself floating in a cosmos filled with light, wondering if the brilliant particles are elemental spirits. Aura looks down in surprise at the tiny, wide-eyed Dracon floating beside her. Dracon excitedly confirms that the elemental spirits are all trying to enter her body, and Aura, whose hair appears pink in the magical light, marvels at what it means to have innate talent. A narration explains that while ordinary humans attract one elemental spirit, and geniuses up to 3, Aura's potential is far greater. Dracon proudly announces that his master has obtained 6 elemental spirits: light, dark, water, fire, air, and earth, all of which swirl around her in a brilliant display. With tears of joy streaming from his starry eyes, Dracon declares that his master is the genius of all geniuses. Overjoyed, Aura asks if she's dreaming, but Dracon assures her they are in her consciousness and can use the time advantage to absorb the powers. He promises to be a good substitute for his original body and guide her well. Holding Dracon aloft, Aura is engulfed by elemental energy, reflecting on how she once believed she had no magic talent. The memory of being a helpless ant that anyone could trample flashes through her mind as power surges around her. Now a genius among geniuses, she clutches Dracon to her chest and whispers a heartfelt thank you. Returning to reality, Aura sits under the pink-blossomed tree and lets out a sigh of relief. Opening her eyes, she touches her shoulder and realizes her body has grown stronger than before. Damian outlines her new training schedule: magic practice at dawn, followed by afternoon assistance from Octa and others. He adds that once she can defeat them, she will be able to handle most humans with ease. Aura rises, declaring that such a level of strength is far from enough for her goals. Her eyes burn with challenge, as she asks if defeating them will earn her the right to be his opponent. Damian smiles, admitting he looks forward to her growth but warning that becoming his opponent would be far too dangerous for her. He offers a new deal. If she can defeat them, he will personally assist her in the next stage of training, a promise she eagerly accepts. The scene shifts to a verdant waterfall, marking the passage of 1 month. 1 month later, Damian trains intently with a sword. In a white training outfit, Aura skillfully parries an unseen attack. During their spar, Damian effortlessly blocks her aerial strike, questioning if her weak physical strength has reached its limit. Recalling her training, Damian thinks of the disobedient little brats and asks Aura if any of them went easy on her. Ignoring him, Aura begins to cast a spell, chanting, "Wind arise." A swirl of green wind magic appears, but Damian, watching from behind, seems confused by her tactic. Suddenly, he's doused with a splash of water, leaving him bewildered as to her plan. The water splashes dramatically across the panel. Damian stands completely soaked, his expression one of pure annoyance. Undeterred, Aura summons lightning, calling upon the Thunder Emperor and telling him to watch her next move. A powerful surge of purple lightning engulfs her body. The battle ends, with Aura collapsed on the ground, in exhaustion, as a frustrated Damian stands over her. As Aura catches her breath, Damian critiques her, explaining that while her idea was good, using too many moves dispersed her power, making a single, decisive strike impossible. Aura looks away, clearly exhausted and frustrated by his lecture. With a flick, he taps her on the forehead. Rubbing the spot, she asks why he hit her again, and he reminds her that tactics mean little in the face of absolute power. He advises her to focus on increasing her elemental power capacity, which would be more beneficial for someone with her talent than complex strategies. Stunned, Aura realizes Damian is the first person besides Dracon to so positively acknowledge her talent. Resolving to rescue the real Dracon, she thanks him. Leaning against him for support, she announces it's time for her afternoon training. Damian gives her an encouraging smile, telling her to go and win. He tells her the sword she's using is unsuitable, and promises that Ak will give her a better weapon from the warehouse if she wins her next match. Aura watches as he turns to leave. As she walks off for her training, she calls over her shoulder, vowing that she will be back to challenge him soon. With a calm expression, Damian decides he will wait and see what she is capable of. As Damian walks away through the pink blossoms, an unseen voice reminds him he'll be alone again once she's gone. A shadowy version of Damian appears, telling him he has been trapped long enough and offering to help him escape if he shares his body. Damian scoffs, tired of hearing the same monotonous phrase, but the entity offers a new incentive: revenge for his family and the defeat of his enemy, the God of Light. An internal voice addresses the entity as Dark God, telling it to give up, and asserting that he doesn't need anyone to act on his behalf. With unwavering resolve, Damian declares that he alone is the one who will control his body. The Dark God taunts him about being trapped forever, but Damian says he'd be glad to. Elsewhere, a voice yells to be left alone to sleep. Thump. The scene cuts to Aura, who is jolted awake with a start. A small purple creature marvels at Aura's rapid power progression, while a large blue demon stands by. Aura asks if absorbing elemental spirits counts as an answer. The small purple creature scoffs, dismissing her answer by stating that absorbing elemental spirits is a conventional way for humans to practice. A large, mustachioed blue demon comments that it's incredible for a human to be favored by dark elements, noting she's only the second person he's seen like this in 1,000 years. Aura looks up curiously, asking who the first person was. The small purple creature happily explains that they are referring to the one who taught them. Realizing they mean Damian, Aura is stunned by the implication that he is also a human. The purple creature nervously confirms that Damian is human, leaving Aura in a state of shock. Dracon appears in a flash of light, sensing his master's emotional fluctuation and asking what happened. Aura dismisses his concern, lost in thought as she questions why a human would need her soul. A sparkle appears in her eye as she marvels at the revelation that humans can become so powerful. Filled with excitement, Aura eagerly asks the purple creature countless questions about Damian's age and how he became so strong. The large blue demon interjects, telling her she's asking the wrong one since Ak is newly created, while he himself has lived for thousands of years. Aura addresses the blue demon as Mr. Murray, who complains of being hungry and hints he'd appreciate a meal of dark elements, much to Ak's annoyance. Promising to feed him later, Aura asks him to tell her what he knows, and Mr. Murray agrees, trusting her character. Mr. Murray begins his tale, recalling an event from 800 years ago when their master was just a teenager. The scene transitions, marked by the story's title, shimmering over a magical crest. As crows fly over a desolate fortress, Mr. Murray narrates that none of the demons knew where the master came from. He continues, explaining that all demons wanted to possess the body of a young, shackled Damian who carried the vulnerable aura of the dark god. Amidst a darkness filled with glowing red eyes, Mr. Murray recounts how even the most powerful and loyal demons were drawn to the temptation. Demonic beasts are shown tearing each other apart. As the narration explains, they fought to the death for the chance to attack the master. Splat! A blood-soaked Damian is shown before his body sinks into a pool of blood. A close-up reveals a glimmer of fierce determination in his blood-stained eye. Now standing over the corpses of giant demons, Damian smirks as Mr. Murray narrates that they never could have foreseen being defeated by a human. Within a short 10 years, Damian devoured every demon, becoming the undisputed master of the isolated frontier town. Back in the present, Mr. Murray proudly explains to Aura and the other small spirits that he survived by pledging his allegiance early. Axe scoffs, retorting that the master simply didn't bother defeating someone so weak, just like he ignores Sawada, leaving another small spirit confused. The small, bat-winged creature defends Sawada, explaining he's not a fool, just slow-spoken, while Aura warns it not to provoke him. Aura ponders Damian's nature, wondering if a human who can live forever and devour demons can still be considered human. Dracon reveals that his inherited memories identify this isolated frontier town as the lair of the dark god, which was destroyed 1,000 years ago. The realization dawns on Aura that they are no longer in the Alten continent, a fact Dracon confirms. Damian suddenly appears, asking if she wants to return to the Alten continent and reminding her their agreement didn't include that. Aura acknowledges the terms of their deal, but explains that she must rescue her companion who is waiting for her. With desperate eyes, she begs him to tell her how to return, promising to work hard and fulfill her commitment to him. Damian looks down at her, silently contemplating her heartfelt plea. Aura presses on, eagerly offering to fulfill any other requests he might have. He explains that the isolated frontier town is the dark god's tomb and exists within a dimensional rift, meaning there is no way in or out. Distraught and crying, Aura desperately begs for his help, promising she will do anything he asks. Damian gently places a hand on her head, telling her to calm down. He explains that others have made requests before, some were devoured, while others, like Ak, were forced to stay here forever. When Aura questions Ak's origin, Damian smiles and explains that after Ak's human host died, he created a new hawk-like body for him to serve as his aid. His gaze softens as he tells her that among all those who have come before, she is the most special and the first one to make a request of him. He looks at her with a gentle smile, admitting that her presence makes the boring dead city feel lively, leaving Aura momentarily stunned. Damian cups Aura's chin, telling her to forget the Alten continent and stay with him to have everything she could ever desire. With a confident smirk, he offers her power and immortality. Aura thinks back on her journey, realizing she has only survived this long because of Dracon's sacrifice. Her expression hardens with resolve, as she declares she cannot abandon her past and must save him. She turns and runs away through a grove of pink-blossomed trees. Damian watches her go, his thoughts and expression unreadable as petals fall around him. The scene darkens, filled with shimmering fragments that suggest a passage of time. Floating over a pond amidst the blossoms, Aura is enveloped in crackling golden energy as Dracon watches from nearby. Dracon sweats profusely, panicked as he warns Aura that continuing to absorb the energy will cause her elemental pool to burst. Ignoring his pleas, Aura continues her meditation as a frantic Dracon begs her to stop. A close-up reveals Aura's eyes blazing with golden power and unwavering determination. Surrounded by the lingering energy, Aura tells Dracon they have been trapped for 3 months and asks if he can still sense his original body. As Dracon sadly admits he doesn't know, Aura recalls Damian's warning, but steels her resolve to become stronger and find an escape. Clenching her dress, she worries that following the normal path of cultivation will trap them forever and only cause Dracon to suffer. She explains that burdening him would be worse than death, and asking him to trust her, promises she won't be easily defeated. With her eyes closed, she focuses her power, compressing the golden energy into a glowing orb between her hands. Ah! She gasps as a sudden force violently throws her head back. Ah! She screams in agony as dark, thorny energy erupts from her body, piercing her from within. Dracon screams for his master as the scene is consumed by darkness, displaying the story's title over a magical crest. Bloodied and bruised, Aura opens her eyes to find Damian looking down at her, remarking on her tenacity for surviving. He stands over her in the starlit forest, coolly asking why she came here. Damian explains that he sensed her life was in danger and came to see if it was time to finally harvest her soul. Despite her injuries, Aura glares up at him, vowing that she will not die until she has accomplished her goal. He scoffs at her pride, reminding her that her elemental pool burst and her blood vessels shattered, leaving her on the verge of death. Lifting her chin, he tells her that if he had arrived just a little later, she would not have woken up at all. Damian turns away from the injured Aura, noting with a grimace that she shows no sign of remorse for her reckless actions. He walks away, leaving her alone in the moonlit grove. Dracon flies into Aura's arms, telling her that she nearly scared him to death with her dangerous training. Aura quietly embraces her worried familiar, her expression still heavy with pain and exhaustion. She suddenly looks down in shock, asking about Dracon's body as it begins to glow. He solemnly says that it's finally time. Her eyes widen with terror and disbelief as she stammers, "No." She desperately begs him not to go, clutching his fading, glowing form to her chest. Blue lightning erupts from Dracon's body as a narrator explains that a companion beast's sacred mission is to protect their master. Aura tearfully pleads for Dracon not to leave her, but her cries are interrupted by a disembodied voice mocking her heartbreak, causing her to demand who is there. A mysterious voice from the trees tells Aura it's merely a passerby, but offers a crucial piece of information. It knows how to leave the isolated town. Aura challenges the voice, questioning its claim when even Damian is trapped, but it asserts that it can sense things he cannot. As bats fly across the crescent moon, the voice taunts Damian for pretending not to see Aura's tears, claiming it is doing her a favor. The voice reveals a plan. During the blood moon tomorrow, when Damian is weak, she must take his weapon to the central courtyard and insert it into the throne as moonlight strikes, opening the barrier. The voice gives a final warning, telling her she only has one chance and must not fail to seize it. The scene shifts to a desolate, rocky wasteland where Aura stands alone, contemplating the mysterious offer. A voice suddenly calls out her name from off-screen. Ak, a blue shark-like demon, and the bat-winged creature appear, with Ak asking why she's sitting there and explaining they were worried about her. The shark demon warns that the ruins are dangerous, while the small, bat-winged creature asks Aura if she is unhappy. As Aura asks if they truly care for her, Ak dismisses her, but another spirit explains they're simply following their master's orders to look after her. Aura smiles warmly and hugs the bat-winged creature, seemingly touched by their concern. She hops down from a ledge, reassuring them she was just lost and waiting to be found, as the small shark demon advises her to stay put for the next 2 days. When she asks why, the demon explains that the darkness element will peak tomorrow night and newly born demons won't be as kind as them. Aura listens intently, a thoughtful expression on her face as she hugs the small, bat-winged creature. Ak reassures her that the master hibernates at this time each year, prompting Aura to ask why someone so powerful would need to do so. The small, mustachioed blue demon explains that Damian hibernates to avoid going on a killing spree when the violent darkness element becomes too concentrated, adding he's looking forward to a peaceful night. Aura squeezes Sawada in a tight hug until he squeaks that he can't breathe, prompting her to quickly apologize. Aura tells the spirit she needs to speak with Damian, but Ak informs her that the master has already gone into hibernation. Ak explains that Damian left his weapon with him for maintenance, so she won't find him, while the shark demon urges her to come back with them. Aura realizes the convenience of the situation, Damian hibernating, and his weapon with Ak is exactly what the mysterious voice predicted. She silently wonders about the identity of the voice and how it could possess such detailed knowledge of their circumstances. As night falls, her resolve hardens. No matter who the voice belongs to, she is determined to escape this place. The next day, Aura asks Ak to take her to the armory to find a more suitable weapon, reminding him of his earlier promise. A suspicious Ak asks how she knew about the armory, and Aura lies, claiming Damian told her the knife he gave her was unsuitable. Ak leads a silent Aura down a long, stone corridor within the fortress. Ak presents the master's vast armory, telling Aura she can use any weapon her ability allows, leaving her in awe of the collection. He explains the weapons were plundered from humans on the Alten continent thousands of years ago and became Damian's spoils after he defeated the demons. Aura points out Damian's unique weapon, and Ak confirms it's a hammer spear forged from the master's own power, unlike the human weapons. Annoyed, Ak questions why she is still fixated on defeating the master, insisting it's impossible, but Aura asserts she must understand her opponent to win. Aura stares thoughtfully at the rows of weapons, ignoring a silent Ak. Realizing he unintentionally led her to Damian's weapon, a flustered Ak stammers, "You!" Aura looks at him with resolve, stating that she has her reasons for being so persistent. Giving in, Ak flies off, warning her just not to anger the master, who is terrifying when enraged. Thanking him for the reminder, Aura chooses an ornate sword from the rack. With the sword in hand, she tells Ak she has made her choice and is ready to leave. Ak gestures towards the exit, and the two begin to leave the armory. As she walks away, Aura turns for one last look at Damian's weapon resting on its stand. Her expression is firm, her secret plan clearly in motion. Squeak. The armory door closes, leaving Damian's hammer spear in the darkness. Later that night, under a dark sky, bats fly over the fortress walls. The armory door creaks open again as Aura returns, her entry marked by a crackle of golden energy. Arcs of golden lightning flash across the room, illuminating her target, Damian's weapon. She grasps the heavy weapon, wondering about its weight, but finds herself unable to budge it from its stand. Determined, she decides to use her elemental power, her eyes glowing with golden light. Pouring her energy into the weapon, she envelops it and herself in a torrent of lightning. Her grip tightens as the powerful weapon finally begins to shift. "It's coming out," she exclaims, her face lit with success as she pulls the weapon free. Suddenly, a voice from the doorway shouts, "Stop!" Ak appears in the entrance, furiously demanding to know what she is doing as the story's title appears. Holding the powerful weapon, Aura calmly tells him she has urgent business and must borrow it. Ak is livid, ordering her to put down the master's weapon and offering to forget this happened if she complies immediately. Ignoring his demands, Aura closes her eyes, her decision made. Turning away from him, she quietly apologizes to Ak. "I must borrow this weapon," she declares, unleashing a blinding wave of golden light energy. Ugh. Ak recoils in pain, crying out that he can't stand light elements, which are a natural weakness for dark creatures like demons. Seizing the opportunity, Aura swings the heavy hammer spear over her shoulder. She makes a break for the door, running past the weakened Ak. An enraged Ak shouts that he was only going easy on her before, but now he's serious and will fight with all his power. An intense energy builds as Ak prepares to attack. Blinded by a sudden flash, Aura shields her eyes, confused by the unexpected assault. "Oh no," she thinks, stunned to see Ak has transformed into a giant, monstrous version of himself. The massive creature lunges, roaring, that she can't escape as Aura realizes it's too late to dodge. With a grimace, she raises the weapon just in time to block his enormous claw. The giant Ak grabs the weapon and tries to wrench it from her grasp as Aura struggles against his overwhelming strength. Focusing her power, she begins to activate a technique called Sing Praise. A massive explosion of golden lightning erupts from Aura, blasting the giant demon backward. Bang! The golden lightning attack collides with A's giant claw, sending out a shockwave. Ow! Reverting to his small form, Ak cries out that the impact shattered his claws. Oh no! His eyes widen in shocked realization. Ak panics outside the armory, crying that she got away and his master will surely kill him for this failure. He quickly flies off in pursuit, determined to catch up with her. Ek blames himself, wondering how Aura could even use the master's weapon, and concluding he is too weak to have stopped her. Huff Aura pants as she runs through an ornate, glowing white corridor. Breathing heavily, she holds the hammer spear with grim determination. She runs down a grand hall toward a glowing throne, thinking that the timing is perfect. Aura recalls the plan. The weapon must be used when the blood moon's light shines upon the throne. With a powerful thrust, she plunges the hammer spear into the base of the throne. A massive surge of chaotic red and black energy erupts, activating a complex magic circle on the floor. Her eye reflects the brilliant, overwhelming surge of power. Suddenly, a man in elegant white and gold robes appears behind her, calling her Orla. She turns in shock, gasping his name, Damian. He stands before her amidst the swirling red energy of the activated magic circle. Damian's voice taunts her, asking why she doesn't leave and if she thinks his false form can stop her. She realizes with a start that the man before her was just a decoy. Closing her eyes, Aura whispers a quiet apology. Her resolve hardening, she turns and declares she must go back. She is swept up in a vortex of red magical energy, seemingly teleporting away. A tendril of red energy yanks the weapon from the throne's base. The hammer spear flies through the air, now glowing with golden energy. The real Damian appears in the throne room, effortlessly catching his weapon. Groll appears beside him, shamefully apologizing for failing to stop Aura from reaching the throne. Daiki tearfully complains that Aura still wants to leave after all their time together, not even seeing them as companions. Damian stands silently as Ak nervously stammers his master's name. Ak cries, believing his master is so angry he won't even punish him and must have feelings for the damn human trickster. Looking down at the magic circle, Damian offers Aura a deal, share her body with him, and she can leave to claim her destiny. He calmly states he will consider her choice as the scene fades. Aura finds herself in a sunlit forest, looking around in confusion. She recognizes the location as the place where she and Dracon were first ambushed. Seeing a vision of a chained and sleeping Dracon, she emotionally tells him she has finally returned. As she asks if he is all right, a sound alerts her that someone is approaching. A pair of feet in sandals land softly on the forest floor. From a tree branch, Aura watches two guards below. One complains to his captain about searching for that little slave for 3 months. Aura scowls, shocked that someone spent 3 months looking for her, as the captain orders his men to stop arguing. The guards discuss their orders, noting they must capture the slave for an upcoming competition, though one questions why, since she was supposedly released from her contract. The captain sternly reminds his subordinate that their Highness's orders are not to be questioned. Aura realizes the Alten continent's powerful exchange competition is happening next month. A fire of determination burns in her eyes. The guards continued chatting, with one mentioning the rumor that the palace maids cleaned up divine beast blood, a valuable tonic. Enraged by the guards' greedy fantasy of being rewarded for capturing her, Aura's expression turns furious. Leaping from the tree, she prepares to strike the smug guard with her sword, which now crackles with dark energy. Ah! Both guards cry out in pain as she slashes through them with a wave of dark magic. The captain stares in terror, recognizing her attack as black magic. The frightened captain draws his sword, preparing to defend himself. Aura glares at him, channeling a powerful surge of dark energy into her sword. She stands over the defeated captain, who begs for his life, identifying himself as the captain of the Finelo guards. She holds the sharp point of her sword to the terrified captain's throat. With dark energy swirling around her blade, Aura coldly tells the captain to answer her questions if he doesn't want to die. She interrogates the captain about the talent competition, and he tells her it runs from August 1st to the 20th. Aura presses him for all the competition rules, and the terrified captain quickly agrees, explaining the age and participant limits. Contemplating his words, Aura realizes she could potentially enter the competition by pretending to be a participant. The captain reveals that the participants are gathering in Santa Rosa town and advises her to avoid trouble, though he secretly plans to test her. Looking back at the defeated captain, Aura states it's too late for warnings. The captain babbles about concocting a story of a wild beast attack, but Aura sharply questions him about the divine beast he'd mentioned. He panics, thinking of the crown prince's esteemed companion. Aura cuts him down as he screams in agony. As the captain clutches his wound, he tells her it's useless to fight, as the beast has already formed a contract with His Highness. The captain's eyes widen in shock as he stammers in sudden recognition. He realizes she is the useless slave, and Aura's gaze hardens in response. A magical slave collar materializes and tightens around her neck, making her cry out in pain and curse. Wiping blood from her mouth, she realizes that her familiar, Dracon, must be in terrible trouble. Standing over the fallen guards, Aura declares their blood will be the start of her revenge against the wicked Finelo royal family. A new chapter begins as the scene transitions to the grand Finelo royal palace. A white dove flies towards the palace, carrying a message that questions whether the search team has been completely wiped out. In an opulent office, a subordinate reports to the white-haired man, while the pink-haired princess stands by. The man confirms it was the team searching for arena slaves. The princess, Sophia, cheers that the wretch is alive and must have found new allies, but the white-haired man silences her. The surviving captain of the Finelo guards nervously reports that his team did find something. He reveals that military medics discovered traces of dark magic on the bodies, shocking both the white-haired man and Sophia, who wonder about the involvement of dark forces. Bang! Sophia slams her fist on the desk, her expression a mask of fury. The white-haired man rises, his face grim, and orders a thorough investigation into the matter. The story shifts to the bustling, sunlit streets of Santa Rosa town. A young woman with long green hair is informed that a professor wishes to see her. The green-haired girl, Estelle, gently reminds a man named Elio to call her by her name instead of princess, as they are not in the Pasa Palace. The man with long, light blue hair is formally introduced as Elio. Estelle notices Elio looking at a bulletin board and asks if it's a wanted poster. He confirms it is, and she expresses her curiosity. The poster shows a battered Aura, wanted for a 5,000 bounty, noting that despite her weak appearance, she has the highest price on her head. Elio wonders if she only looks weak, while Estelle agrees. As a cloaked figure passes by, Elio privately thinks his intuition says the girl on the poster is truly weak. The cloaked figure, Aura in disguise, thinks to herself that infiltrating the palace will be more difficult than she expected. Realizing she needs a new plan quickly, she hurries away through the crowd. Startled, Estelle lets out a cry as she notices something in the reflection of her glasses. She calls out, "Wait," and gestures toward the cloaked figure who just passed. Estelle urgently tells Elio to stop that person. Elio moves swiftly to block the cloaked figure's path, asking them to hold on. Startled and nervous, the disguised Aura wonders why these two foreigners have stopped her. Estelle cheerfully introduces herself and her cousin Elio, explaining they are visitors from the Pasa Kingdom for the talent competition. Leaning in close, Estelle asks the cloaked girl if she's also a foreigner and suggests they become friends. Lowering her hood, Aura reveals she has transformed her appearance to have black hair and pink eyes and introduces herself as Siwata, internally apologizing to the real Siwata for borrowing her name. Estelle marvels at Siwata's beautiful pink eyes, a color she's never seen before, and a flustered Aura meekly confirms it. Internally, Aura frets that she unconsciously copied Damian's unique appearance. Externally, she lies and claims everyone from her village looks this way. Estelle puts a friendly hand on Aura's shoulder, observing that her people must rarely travel. As Estelle asks if she's traveling alone, Aura instinctively flinches and slaps her hand away. A cartoonish panel shows Estelle's shocked expression and Aura's wary, cat-like hiss of alarm. Aura quickly apologizes, explaining that she overreacted because she's not used to being so close to others. Estelle laughs it off, saying she should be the one to apologize for being too forward and startling her. Aura confirms she is traveling alone, adding that everything in the town is unfamiliar to her. Understanding, Estelle gently takes Aura's hand. Estelle happily hugs the arm of a very flustered and uncomfortable Aura. Asking if Aura has a place to stay, Estelle offers her own spacious room when Aura says no, prompting Elio to protest, "Princess." As Elio suggests that Miss Sawada has her own matters to attend to, a cartoonishly panicked Aura internally shrieks at being called princess. Estelle cheerfully dismisses Elio's concern, certain Sawada would like to stay with her and asking for confirmation, leaving a hesitant Aura to ponder. Realizing this is her chance, Aura concocts a story about wanting to join the talent competition, but being unable to qualify because her village is too small. Estelle praises her bravery. Elio explains that the competition starts in 15 days and that she can sign up at the arena. He continues, revealing that Finero has allocated one competition slot to the arena to attract talent, and the ultimate winner will represent the kingdom. While Estelle warns that the competition has already reached a fierce stage, a grateful Aura thanks them for the very helpful information. Announcing she must register now, Aura says goodbye and turns to leave, but Estelle quickly grabs her hand, shouting, "Wait!" Estelle worriedly asks if she's sure about this, warning she could lose her life, but Aura confidently states it's time to evaluate her training. With a bright smile, Aura promises to treat Estelle to a meal after she wins the arena match. As they watch Aura depart, Elio reminds Estelle that they must return soon, or the professor will be worried. Estelle pouts, calling Elio boring for not even asking why she had him stop Aura in the first place. Estelle confirms her ability didn't work, and finds it strange that Sawada was so wary of her during their first meeting. Puzzled, Elio asks what's so special about Sawada, but Estelle just smiles, finding it all very interesting and inviting him to watch the match tomorrow. With a cheerful point, Estelle finalizes her plan to watch the match. Elio looks on with a serious expression and agrees. The scene shifts to the grand arena reception, where Aura approaches the desk and states her desire to register for the talent competition. The registration official presents a participant agreement, explaining the fee is 50 universal coins and that the arena bears no responsibility for death. Aura admits she doesn't have universal coins and asks if she can pay with something else. An unseen person rudely tells her to get lost if she doesn't have money. As the registration official slyly offers her a job serving him instead, a large, muscular man appears, telling her to follow him to enjoy the good life. The official identifies the man as the famous local boxer, Mr. Jason, who has won quite a few matches. Aura scoffs, questioning if bullying the weak is what the strong do, and calling it cowardice, shocking the official. The scene transitions through a dark, ornate purple pattern. Enraged, Jason demands to know who she's calling a coward, but Aura, now emanating a powerful golden aura, coldly tells him to get lost. Jason screams in agony as he is blasted by Aura's powerful dark magic, which crackles around him. Standing over the groveling Jason, Aura mocks him for not being able to endure a little pain, calling him a big-mouthed coward. Terrified, Jason quickly agrees he's a big-mouthed fool who shouldn't have embarrassed himself in front of a mage. Aura demands he make reparations by giving her all his valuables, and the terrified man quickly agrees. He nervously hands over several pouches of money, telling her they are all hers. HMPH, Aura takes a heavy pouch, remarking that it should cover her expenses, and tells him to leave and never let her see him again. With chilling intensity, she warns him that next time he'll pay with his life and must apologize to the slave he once humiliated, making him tremble in fear. A single, gleaming 50 universal coin token is shown. Aura places the coin on the desk, telling the now terrified official that she wants to register. He immediately agrees to process it. The official informs her that her opponent tomorrow at 8 a.m. will be the 19-year-old freelance mage, Miss Kana. Heh? Aura smirks as she realizes she's about to face another old acquaintance. She asks if defeating Kana will qualify her for the competition, and the official confirms that Kana is a level 3 mage, the strongest in the arena. Understanding the stakes, Aura confirms she'll be there on time and turns down the official's offer to sell her battle information on her opponent. She declines, placing her hands on the arena door and thinking that she remembers her opponent's methods vividly. Her eyes burn with vengeful fire as she recalls all the humiliation she endured in the past. It's time to settle the score as the announcer welcomes the undefeated queen of the arena, the genius mage Kana, to a roaring crowd. Shat, a hooded aura, introduced as the challenger Siwada, enters the arena while the crowd dismisses her as a nobody. Two adoring fans cheer for Queen Kana, eagerly telling her to teach the challenger a lesson and stain the floor with her blood. Aura listens silently as the crowd continues to jeer and cheer against her. Kana addresses Aura as little girl and smugly asks if her followers have scared her witless. Unleashing a massive wave of fire, Kana challenges Aura to see if the blood flower can please her. With impressive speed, Aura dodges the powerful fire attack. Kana is intrigued by her opponent's agility, while Aura realizes the attack was aimed at her throat to prevent her from surrendering. Aura thinks with disgust that Kana hasn't changed at all, still catering to the perverse tastes of scum. Looking up at her opponent, Aura taunts her to use any other tricks she might have, but Kana just scoffs that she's looking for death. Kana unleashes a torrent of blazing flames while Aura counters by forming a shield of water. Whoosh! Aura's swirling water magic completely deflects Kana's powerful fire blast. Annoyed, Kana realizes her opponent is a water mage, which explains her confidence. As the embers die down, Aura knows that a purely defensive strategy won't be enough to win. Kana traps Aura in a swirling fire prison, taunting the village girl to try and escape. Declaring she's done wasting time, Kana unleashes a final, massive blaze burst attack. Aura stands her ground, calmly facing the inferno about to consume her. With her eyes closed, Aura activates a magic rebound spell, sending the blaze burst hurtling back toward a confident Kana. Kana's smirk vanishes as she watches her own attack flying back at her in disbelief. Whoom! The fire mage is sent flying as she's engulfed by her own reflected magic. Boom! A tremendous explosion rocks the arena, obscuring the outcome of the battle. The scene shifts to a majestic, sun-drenched palace with brilliant blue rooftops. Now cloaked and in different attire, Aura walks through a palace hall with a blonde man in armor, wondering why she can't sense Dracon's presence. Roar! A distant, powerful roar catches Aura's attention, making her stop in her tracks. The blonde man in armor asks the master mage what's wrong, informing her the treasury is just ahead. Aura asks about the roar, and the man dismissively explains it's just from the nearby beast taming room. Pondering this, Aura realizes that any beasts kept so close to the treasury must be extraordinary. The man proudly confirms this, boasting that the Finero royal family's contracted companions are all exceptional. He adds that Prince Alten has recently contracted a rare divine beast for the competition, piquing Aura's interest. As Aura quietly considers Prince Alten's luck, the scene flashes to a dark vision of thorny, crystalline magic. Aura transforms into a shadowy wisp, silently drifting through a darkened palace corridor. Two guards stand watch, with one complaining about his long shift due to the ongoing talent competition. As Aura's shadow slips past, the guards recall how a divine beast went berserk and killed several comrades, but one scoffs that Prince Alten has it under control. Descending a spiral staircase, Aura fumes, wondering why Dracon's presence is so weak and what that scoundrel Alten has done. Her shadow form nears a large cage, and she's immediately hit with the strong smell of blood. Peering inside, she sees a horrifying sight: a bloodied white wing bound in heavy chains. She finds Dracon, chained and wounded, who weakly senses his master's arrival as she gasps his name. Materializing from the shadows, Aura rushes toward the cage, but Dracon urgently warns her to stay back. He explains the cage is cursed and will trigger if she gets too close. Dracon looks at her changed form, noting that she seems different than before. Aura confirms she has changed, but Dracon clarifies he isn't referring to her appearance. He tells her she has become stronger, but Aura laments that she's still not strong enough to free him. Dracon reassures her that he's fine, merely bound by a secret technique, as Aura asks if killing his new master would break the contract. He explains that their master-servant contract would only transfer the damage to him, causing Aura to seethe with rage. Urging her to leave the dangerous area, Dracon promises his master he will find a way to break free. With tears in her eyes, Aura promises Dracon that she is no longer a weakling and will find a way to save him. Her fierce determination is reflected in Dracon's weary eye. Touched, Dracon thinks how it warms his heart to know she's been thinking of him as the scene transitions away. Elsewhere, a white-haired nobleman in a red cape pledges the royal family's cooperation with the Bright Church to eradicate darkness. A red-haired figure and a gray-bearded man, both cloaked, agree that they must prevent the forces of darkness from infiltrating the competition. Suddenly, the red-haired figure stops, sensing an unseen presence. The red-haired figure whirls around, exclaiming that there's a presence of dark magic nearby. Shouting, "Let's go!" the two cloaked figures rush off, leaving the nobleman and his guards bewildered. Furious at his guards' inaction, the nobleman screams at them to hurry up and follow. While escaping, Aura considers Estelle's offer, thinking Louisden Academy may hold the key to rescuing Dracon. Bam! As she leaps from a balcony, a powerful golden light erupts from her position. Oh! Aura is suddenly struck by crackling dark purple energy, wondering who is attacking her. In pain and shock, she realizes she didn't sense her attacker's approach at all. Collapsed on a rooftop, Aura finds herself cornered as the two cloaked figures from the Bright Church land nearby. The gray-bearded man looms over her, cracking his knuckles and sentencing the minion of darkness to death. Whoosh! In the stands, the spectators are in utter disbelief, wondering how Kana's own fire magic could have turned back to attack her. In another part of the audience, Estelle is amazed, realizing Aura can use light magic and is a rare dual-element mage. Elio thoughtfully notes that Aura also has good physical fitness, making her suitable for both magic and martial arts. Estelle smiles, confident that with Suwata's skill, they will soon achieve the goal of their journey. The scene transitions through a sparkling, ornate, magical pattern. Back in the arena, Aura stands over the hand of her defeated opponent. A battered and hooded Kana struggles to push herself up from the dusty ground. As Aura looms over her with a sword, Kuna screams in denial, unable to accept her loss to an unknown pawn. Enraged, Kuna vows to kill Aura and declares her intent to participate in the talent competition. Aura grabs Kana's chin, mockingly asking how her own fireball tasted and revealing she remembers the unforgettable pain of being burned by it before. The horrible truth dawns on Kana as she recognizes her opponent, screaming in disbelief. Boo! With a swift motion, Aura ruthlessly plunges her sword into Kana's chest. Kana coughs up blood as the blade is withdrawn from the fatal wound. Standing over Kana's body, Aura addresses the now silent crowd, asking where their cheers have gone for the bloody scene they so desired. As her eyes glow with an eerie pink light, the crowd thinks in terror that she is a devil. The spectators flee in a panic, screaming that they'll be killed if they don't run. Later, in the arena rest area, Estelle excitedly greets Suwata, telling her she was cool. Aura is surprised to learn she was in the audience. Estelle happily confirms that she and Elio came to cheer her on. Estelle apologizes for not cheering aloud amidst the rowdy crowd, but Aura reassures her that it's fine since she won. Estelle throws her arms around Aura in a congratulatory hug. Flustered by the sudden embrace, Aura listens as Estelle tells her she's truly amazing. Aura is left speechless, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Peeking from behind the two girls, Elio clears his throat and suggests they visit a nice nearby restaurant. Elio formally extends an invitation for Miss Suwata to join them for lunch. At a rustic tavern, Estelle recommends the excellent grilled fish, but Aura replies that she isn't picky. Aura smiles, saying the prize money was substantial, and offers to cover the bill for everyone. Elio declines, stating it would be impolite for her to pay, leaving Aura to recall her earlier promise to treat them. Estelle reassures her, suggesting they pay this time and Aura can treat them next time as promised. Aura agrees, though she privately thinks that the Pasa Nation is far more prosperous anyway. Leaning in close, Estelle tells Suwata she has a little secret she hasn't shared yet. She whispers that she and Elio are students from the Louisden Academy of Magic. Aura looks up, unfamiliar with the name, and asks what the Louisden Academy is. Surprised by her calm reaction, Estelle asks why she isn't shocked and if she had already guessed. Elio suggests that Miss Suwata has simply never heard of it, causing Estelle to deflate slightly. Aura confirms she hasn't heard of it and apologizes, explaining that news doesn't travel to her isolated hometown. Estelle accepts her explanation, agreeing it's possible if she's from a very remote place. Brightening up, Estelle offers to give her a brief introduction to the famous academy. She begins a story from 800 years ago, when humans, orcs, elves, and dwarves united against an undead invasion. The war was costly, and all the allied races suffered heavy losses. During that dark time, the strongest human mage called for unity among the races to secure their future. This mage collaborated with 3 other exceptional talents to found a neutral academy for nurturing elites. It became known as a magical miracle in the sky, a castle built upon a floating island. This legendary institution was named the Luiden Academy. Back in the present, Estelle proudly explains that most of history's strongest individuals graduated from the academy, impressing Aura. Estelle informs the surprised Aura that winners of the talent competition get a chance to study at the academy. She explains that the competition provides a path for commoners to enter the esteemed institution, and Aura now has that opportunity. Estelle leans forward, asking if the prospect of joining is tempting. She formally introduces herself as Estelle Pasacana, the deputy head of the Luisden School of Magic, and officially invites Aura to join. Aura questions the rare offer, and Estelle grabs her hand, insisting it's because she possesses extremely high magical talent. Estelle pleads with her, passionately arguing that only the Luisden School of Magic can help her develop her talent to its fullest extent. Aura considers Estelle's offer, wondering if joining the academy is truly as simple as she claims. As Estelle holds her hand, Aura suspects they might be hiding something. Politely pulling away, Aura apologizes and says she can't give them an answer right now. Aura explains to Estelle that she has more important matters and a compelling reason to participate in the talent competition. Estelle looks on thoughtfully as Aura speaks, with Elio watching from across the table. Looking down with disappointment, Estelle reluctantly agrees. As a waitress serves them drinks, Estelle wishes Siwada luck in getting what she wants from the competition and promises to continue rooting for her, which Aura accepts with a thank you. Cheers! The 2 women clink their glasses together in a toast. Estelle playfully reminds Siwada not to forget who invited her once she joins the academy, and Siwada laughs, promising she won't. 5 days later, a formal announcement declares the start of the competition and lists the qualified participants. An announcer on a grand stage introduces the next contestant to a silent crowd, Magician Savada. The announcer notes the quiet crowd and asks for comments, but seeing Savada's glare, he quickly stammers that he has no objections as long as she's happy. Now that she's won, Savada asks the announcer to take her to the palace to prepare for the main competition, and he readily agrees. However, he stops her, adding that His Highness the Prince wishes to meet with her first. A hint of a smirk plays on Savada's lips as she reacts with a curious, "Oh?" The scene shifts to a grand palace as someone wonders if Sivana is truly the most formidable fighter from the arena. Inside, the announcer presents the hooded Savada to the pink-haired princess Sophia, who scoffs that Savada doesn't look strong at all. The announcer explains to Her Highness that Savada is a rare light magic user who is also proficient in water magic, a truly unique combination. Sophia considers this, acknowledging that the talent sounds promising. Suddenly enraged, Sophia demands to know why a rude lady has appeared, as she was expecting someone sent by the prince. Sophia points accusingly at Savada, but the announcer steps in, urging the princess to remember her purpose. Roar. Ignoring him, Sophia violently shoves the announcer aside and yells for him to step aside. Composing herself, Sophia explains that her brother is busy, so she is acting on his behalf and expects Savada to serve the royal family's interests. Sophia orders Savada to defeat foreign contestants until she faces one of the royals, promising treasures as a reward. Savada finds the offer tempting, but questions what treasures she means. Exasperated, Sophia offers to have a guard escort Savada to the palace treasury to see for herself. With a sly look, Savada agrees, telling the princess she'll leave it in her hands. Swoosh! Suddenly, a hooded red-haired man lunges at Savada with blinding speed, but she thinks she can handle him. The red-haired man's attack is a powerful, shadowy blur. Bam! Savada dodges just in time as her assailant's attack slams into the wall behind her, Ahem. Coughing from the shockwave, Savata realizes her attacker is on a completely different level than the arena fighters. Deciding she must escape rather than fight head-on, Savata eyes the red-haired man, looking for an opening. As Savata begins to chant and summon the wind, a dark, clawed hand grabs her from behind. Now, the gray-bearded man restrains her as she realizes her escape is blocked. A shadowy energy blast flies past Savata's head, launched by the gray-bearded man. In response, the red-haired man unleashes a powerful green wind blade attack toward them. Savata looks on in horror, realizing she is trapped in the attack's path. The attack rips her mask off, and she panics as her face is exposed while the red-haired man taunts her about escaping. The red-haired attacker scoffs dismissively. Clutching her face, Savata realizes in shock that the powerful wind blade was his attack. Enraged that she can also manipulate air, the red-haired man lunges, shouting that she is asking for death. Ah! Savata screams in agony as she is violently struck by a maelstrom of dark energy and green blades. The red-haired man looms over the fallen Savata, commenting that his partner, Ash, is far more ruthless with dark forces than he is. A gloved hand brutally grabs a handful of Savata's dark hair. Peeking from the side, the red-haired man calls out to her. He yanks her head back, giving her 3 minutes to reveal her origin, mission, and hideout. Bloodied but defiant, Savata glares back at her captor. Struggling against his grip, she screams that her business is her own as purple lightning erupts from her body. Boom! A massive explosion of energy engulfs the area, forcing the gray-bearded man to leap away. After dodging the blast, the gray-bearded man senses something is wrong and desperately calls out for Ash, wondering if he's still alive. The white-haired nobleman and his guards arrive on the scene, staring in shock at the aftermath of the explosion. Staring in disbelief, the white-haired nobleman recognizes the terrifying power of thunder and lightning. As the dust settles, the gray-bearded man thinks he didn't expect the Church of Light's messenger to wield such powerful elemental magic. Coughing and clutching his wounds, the red-haired Ash defiantly challenges Savata to use any other trick she has. Panting and bloodied, Savata is shocked that Ash survived her full-force attack and still has strength remaining. Defeated, Savata sways on her feet, cursing her weakness. As she collapses into Damian Calderon's arms, Savata sighs, wondering why she always ends up in such a sorry state. The scene focuses on the intricate design of Damian's royal attire. With eyes glowing red with fury, Damian glares at the attackers and asks which one of them injured her. Facing Damian's overwhelming presence, Ash feels an immense pressure emanating from him. A promotional banner is displayed. Clutching his chest under the crushing pressure, Ash realizes Damian must be a leader of the dark forces. A telepathic voice warns Ash not to act rashly, but he glares defiantly. The gray-bearded man tells Ash they are no match for him and that they must retreat to report to the high priest. As they turn to leave, Damian coldly asks if he gave them permission, summoning a glowing blade from his necklace. A swirl of blue energy ensnares the gray-bearded man, stopping his escape. With a simple command, Damian orders them to come back. Crash! The red-haired man is violently thrown to the ground, and Damian demands to know who he is. Damian declares his foe a nuisance, and states that he will be the one asking the questions now. The gray-bearded man pleads for a chance to explain, trying to buy time, but Damian vows that anyone who dares harm what is his must pay the price. A shadowy force grabs the two church members, and Ash is horrified to feel his power being devoured. Clutching a glowing red pendant, Ash screams in agony as he is drained of his energy. As golden light erupts from the pendant, Damian recognizes the scent of the God of Light. An overhead view shows the two men from the church being enveloped in a protective golden aura. The two men look on in shock as the light consumes them, questioning what is happening. The golden light shatters, leaving only remnants of the two men. Damian observes that they were two incarnations, finding the revelation interesting. Watching from a distance, the white-haired nobleman is stunned that Damian so easily killed the messenger of light. He looks down in fear, shaken by the terrifying methods he just witnessed. As Damian stands protectively over the unconscious Savata, the nobleman wonders who he could possibly be. On a nearby rooftop, the blue-haired Elio stands under the full moon, alerted to the disturbance. Elio is shocked to realize he was detected from such a distance, concluding that his opponent's strength is immeasurable. Damian comments to the unconscious Savata that her return has attracted many enemies, noting she hasn't been idle. He gently brushes a strand of hair from her face. With a faint smile, Damian tells her that she has done well. In a flashback, the white-haired nobleman enters a dark chamber, startled by a noise and wondering about the divine beast within. He dismisses the massive, winged unicorn as just a beast, before recognizing it with a start as Dracon. He yells for Dracon, then raises a whip over a captive Aura, threatening to drain the beast's blood if it doesn't behave. Crying out in terror, Aura throws herself in front of Dracon, pleading for the nobleman to stop. As the whip passes harmlessly through her body, she wonders if she's a ghost they cannot see. The white-haired nobleman laughs cruelly, declaring that if Dracon is so devoted, it can join the useless girl in hell. Aura watches in horror as the whip strikes Dracon, realizing it passed through her as if she wasn't there and wondering if she is already dead. Crying, she refuses to accept dying at the hands of strangers, knowing she has too much left to do. Overwhelmed with despair, Aura screams that she cannot accept her fate. Sobbing in her sleep, Aura is gently roused by Damian's voice telling her to wake up and not to cry. Opening her eyes, she is startled to see him and calls out his name. Damian asks if she is surprised, and she thinks to herself that she also feels guilty. She recalls disobeying his orders to leave the city to rescue Dracon, a foolish plan that nearly cost her life. Looking up at Damian, she thanks him for saving her life once again. Damian states that her soul is pledged to him, so no one else can take her life. Aura reflects that their bond is merely transactional before asking if he truly left the border city. He explains that his body never left, and that she is seeing a projection he implanted in her mind when they formed their bond. Aura sadly asks Damian why he didn't stop her from leaving when he clearly had the power to do so. Her eyes widen in realization as she declares he let her go on purpose. Damian thinks to himself that she's not entirely foolish. Damian explains that he didn't want her trapped in the dead city with him, and that she should focus on her cultivation now that she's out. Blushing, Aura asks what his true intentions are. But Damian simply looks down at her as she becomes flustered. Aura states that she won't probe his thoughts, and knows she's insignificant, but offers to serve him in any way she can for saving her life. Damian tells her to get stronger, explaining that more energy will nourish his projection. Aura vows to work hard for his sake. He then asks if she has managed to rescue her pet yet. Annoyed, she retorts that Dracon isn't a pet, but her bonded beast and her only family. Damian notes that rescuing Dracon will be challenging with her current strength, but Aura defiantly insists she won't give up. Looking up at the starry sky, Damian smiles and accepts her resolve. Suddenly, shimmering white feathers begin to float down around a surprised Aura. Damian catches a feather, enveloping it in dark purple energy as he begins a mysterious incantation. As the energy swirls, he commands the entity to reveal itself, and a small, fluffy white creature with golden horns materializes. The creature floats into her arms as she joyfully cries out Dracon's name. Damian explains that Dracon has returned to a form where he can regain his vitality. Overcome with emotion, Aura hugs him, saying how much she missed him. A single tear falls from her eye in a moment of relief. Recalling that Damian's true self is in the border city, she worriedly asks if his projection will disappear too. With a piercing gaze, Damian asks if she wants him to disappear. Startled by his question, she immediately shouts her denial. Looking away bashfully, she insists that's not what she meant. Damian observes her fear and reflects that it's been a long time since anyone cared so much about him. He gently pats her head, thinking it doesn't feel bad, and tells her he'll always return as long as she has enough energy, also revealing that someone unsuccessfully tried to probe her mind. He reassures her that no one can trespass in her mind now that he resides there, and with a promise to meet again, he begins to fade. Aura watches as Damian's projection dissolves into particles of light, clutching the tiny Dracon. His final words echo in her mind, promising they will meet again. With renewed determination, Aura vows that she will definitely become stronger. In a dark cave, the wounded, gray-bearded man and Ash recover. The older man credits a life-saving artifact for their survival and questions why a leader of the dark forces would act so openly. The gray-bearded man concludes that speculation is useless and decides they must report to the high priest. Ash agrees, declaring that no matter how formidable Damian is, he can't possibly be stronger than the high priest. A few days later, the scene shifts to the massive, crowded Finelo Royal Palace Coliseum. At the royal dais, an official informs the king that the rules of the competition have been announced. The king rises and formally welcomes the elite representatives from all the competing countries to the Finelo kingdom. With confetti raining down, the king prepares to begin the tournament. He officially declares the start of this year's talent competition as contestants, including the hooded Savata, look on. From beneath her hood, Savata stares ahead with fierce determination. A decorative title page marks a new chapter. The first match is announced. Finelo's magician Sawada defeats Yan's warrior Rayleigh with a blast of golden energy. In a later match, Sawada battles Sylar's magician Jerry with powerful water magic. Savata unleashes a swirling water beast to attack her opponent. After another victory, the next match is announced for August 10th against Moshek's summoner Lane. Standing over a defeated beast, Sawada is declared the winner again, but she clutches her side, realizing she has sustained a new wound. An official approaches Sawada, congratulating her on 10 consecutive wins and calling her the competition's dark horse. When asked about her feelings and expectations, Savata remains silent for a moment before curtly stating she has nothing to disclose. As spectators call her arrogant, the official chuckles and tells the crowd that their magician seems rather shy. Sawada ignores the commotion and walks away down a sunlit path. The tiny Dracon peeks out from her hood, calling out to his master. Dracon points out that she's injured, but she dismisses it as a minor wound. Dracon insists the wound is poisonous, as her self-healing ability should have closed it by now. A swirl of bright green healing magic erupts. Amazed, Savata asks if he just healed her. Dracon proudly explains that he inherited 1/3 of his main body's abilities. Dracon gasps in alarm, warning that someone is coming. Swoosh! Savata turns to see a blindfolded man in a black cloak flanked by guards walking down the sunlit corridor. She recognizes their attire, realizing with a start that they are dressed the same way as the people who attacked her. As she tries to leave, the blindfolded man commands her to halt, questioning why she is running. Savata claims she has urgent business. A nervous guard intervenes, explaining to the envoy that Savata is their country's light magician and is unrelated to the forces of darkness. The envoy scoffs at the guard's defense, retorting that the forces of darkness are experts at disguise as he leans in to inspect Savata. As a voice calls out her name, Savata worries about what to do, thinking her pursuers are persistent. Princess Estelle appears with a light blue-haired man, explaining that she came to find Savata after waiting outside for a long time. The blindfolded envoy expresses his surprise at seeing Princess Estelle standing protectively before Savata. Estelle explains she was visiting with her teacher and introduces Savata as her good friend, asking if the envoy has business with her. The envoy concedes, stating that since she is a friend of the princess, he will not inquire any further. Estelle thanks him, and he asks her to greet the high priest on his behalf. As they walk away, Estelle asks if Savata is all right, warning her that the Light Church has increased patrols due to recent incidents. Savata reassures her that she's fine and gratefully thanks her for helping her out of the situation. She then asks about the man in strange attire. Estelle explains that he is a light envoy who carries out the will of the light god. Savata looks puzzled, noting that the envoy seemed to show Estelle a great deal of respect. Estelle reveals it's because she's engaged to the high priest's son, though she hints the future is uncertain, before changing the subject to warn Savata that her next opponent is the Finelo princess, a talented summoner. A promotional page thanks readers for their support and provides links for early updates. Savata scoffs at the princess being called a prodigy, openly questioning if she is even qualified. Estelle asks for an explanation, and Savada replies that while she hasn't faced her, she finds the princess's methods disdainful. In a flashback, Savada recalls the pink-haired Princess Sophia demanding that she deliberately lose their match in exchange for royal treasures. Estelle asks if that was the extent of the offer, finding it surprisingly small for a royal. Savada continues, explaining Sophia threatened to have her disqualified if she refused and tried to force her into a blood oath, which shocks both Estelle and the light blue-haired man. The light blue-haired man realizes that due to the oath, even winning would mean Savada couldn't continue in the tournament. Savada now understands the trap she instinctively sensed, and Estelle urgently asks if she signed the blood oath. Savada explains that Sophia seems to have been held up and has only sent subordinates with gifts, not appearing herself. A relieved Estelle happily tells Savada that she can back out of the deal. The light blue-haired man reports hearing about a fierce battle in the palace a few days ago where 2 high-ranking envoys were killed. Savada realizes this explains the increased patrols, and the light blue-haired man warns her to be careful, as they heard a dangerous person from the dark forces was responsible. Estelle promises to support Savada as a representative of the Pasa Kingdom if she defeats Sophia, telling her not to let her down. The light blue-haired man's inner thoughts question how Savada, who has no trace of dark elements, fought with light envoys and was rescued by a mysterious person. Estelle holds Savada's hands and warmly wishes her good luck. As Estelle and the light blue-haired man prepare to leave, they wish Savada well until they see her again tomorrow. Watching Savada depart, the light blue-haired man decides it's best to simply observe her for a while longer, rather than continue probing. He reflects that he initially thought this journey would be a boring one. With a small smile, he concludes that he was wrong and things are just now starting to get interesting. Walking alone, Savada thinks about her past as Sophia's slave and her new knowledge of the Church of Light. She recalls that the church has spread across the continent, presenting its members as incarnations of the God of Light. Infiltrating nearly every kingdom, they stand in direct opposition to the dark forces, who have been abandoned by most people. A dark chamber is shown as Savada remembers that the dark forces are said to worship the God of Darkness. This evil deity was defeated by the God of Light, but necromancers and demons still threaten the mainland. Savada realizes her attackers must have mistaken her for one of the dark forces, which explains their viciousness. Clenching her fist, she thinks their death at Damian's hands was too easy, prompting Dracon to call out to her. Dracon offers to help in the next day's match, but Savada silences him, warning that he can't cause trouble or her identity will be exposed. With renewed conviction, Savada declares that she will win and tells Dracon to await good news. The scene transitions, showing 2 birds flying across a bright blue sky. The next day, a frantic maid informs Princess Sophia that the magician has returned all the treasures she was sent. The maid shrinks back in fear as Sophia erupts in pure shock and rage. Bang! Sophia slams her fist on the table, furious that Savada backed out of their deal and accusing her of doing it deliberately. Composing herself, Sophia narrows her eyes and tells herself to stay calm. A white-haired man scolds Princess Sophia for failing to secure a blood oath, stating that entry into the Louisan Academy is worth more than any treasure. Stunned by his words, Sophia stares at her brother, recalling the events of that fateful day. Her brother grits his teeth, haunted by a dark memory of a past failure. Sophia apologizes for touching a sore spot, then defiantly justifies her attempt to bribe Savada and asks if he's truly afraid of a mere village girl. Pleased by her resolve, her brother stands and calls her a good sister. He hands her a small golden orb, telling her to use it when the time is right. He explains that the orb contains potent elemental energy that can be detonated with a wand. Sophia's eyes widen with understanding as she listens to his plan. He warns her to use it discreetly, promising the royal family will protect her, and she readily agrees. The scene shifts to the Colosseum, where an announcer triumphantly introduces the undefeated genius summoner, Princess Sophia. He then introduces her opponent, the competition's dark horse, Magician Savada. As the two face each other in the arena, the announcer builds anticipation, while Savada offers a confident smirk. Sophia gives Savada one last chance to honor their deal, but Savada dismisses her words as nonsense and draws her sword. With a powerful cry, Savada unleashes a torrent of ice magic from her blade. A brilliant beam of ice magic hurtles towards a stunned Princess Sophia. From a summoning circle, Sophia calls forth a massive, glowing wolf named Luna, cursing Savada for her audacity. Sophia's face contorts with rage. She furiously commands her summoned beast, Luna, to tear Savada apart. The giant wolf pounces on Savada, who lets out a scream. A new chapter begins with a decorative title page. In a flashback, two guards stand over a beaten blonde girl, callously remarking on how well the slave can take a beating. Lying bruised on the stone floor, she glares up defiantly and tells them to stop. A man asks if she has any strength left as Princess Sophia looks on with a maid. Sophia casually observes the girl's still form, declaring her to be extremely boring. A brown-haired maid suggests a commoner's interrogation method, pulling out the prisoner's fingernails, which is said to be excruciatingly painful. Sophia smiles with cruel delight, finding the idea interesting but deciding that simply pulling them out is too dull. Sophia impatiently orders her guards to fetch the necessary torture tools. Back in the present, Savada realizes she cannot possibly evade the beast's attack. An inner voice urgently commands her to swing her sword. She grips the hilt of her sword with renewed determination. A spectral image of Damian appears behind Savada, his hand guiding hers. With a command to retreat, Damian helps her channel immense power into her sword. She unleashes a massive counterattack, a swirling vortex of golden and blue energy that collides with the magical beast. As her wolf, Luna, intercepts the blast, Dracon's voice cries out for his master to be careful. To Savada's amazement, her simple sword shatters, revealing a magnificent, ornate golden blade within. She stares in awe, now wielding the brilliant and powerful new weapon. A decorative page marks a transition in the chapter. In the arena, a voice cries out in disbelief. Princess Sophia stares in utter shock at the defeated body of her summoned wolf, Luna. In denial, she accuses Savada of cheating, demanding to know how she survived unscathed with such a suspicious sword. From the stands, the white-haired nobleman tells Sophia's brother that the weapon appears to be the holy sword from the Temple of Light, wondering how a nobody obtained it. Savada coolly turns the accusation around, asking how Sophia explained her own magical attack that was far beyond her own capabilities. Brandishing her holy sword, she challenges Sophia to continue the fight if she still wants to argue about cheating. Suddenly, Sophia's brother, Prince Alten, arrives and halts the match, announcing he has an important declaration to make. Prince Alten approaches Savada, asking for her name while thinking that her face seems strangely familiar. Savada confirms her identity, then slyly asks if the prince stopped the match just to buy time for his sister. Annoyed by her sharp tongue, Prince Alten clarifies that he is not helping his sister but is there to accuse Savada. Prince Alten publicly accuses Savada of stealing the Church of Light's holy sword and declares her match result null and void. He orders the guards to seize the thief and throw her in the dungeon, but a hand extends to intervene, shouting for them to hold on. Estelle defends Savada, telling Prince Alten the sword only resembles the holy sword and the real one is safe, but he warns her not to ruin her image defending a country girl. With a confident smile, Estelle challenges the prince's disbelief by offering to let her teacher be the judge. A new figure walks into the arena as Estelle calls out for Professor Berg. A young man with messy black hair introduces himself as Stephen Berg, a 6-star mage who once served the Church of Light, asserting his credibility. As Professor Berg stands before them, Prince Alten agrees to hear him out, privately wondering if his sister was wrong about the sword. Professor Berg politely asks to examine the sword, and Savada hands it over. The brilliant, ornate golden sword is held up for inspection. Berg notes that while the true holy sword has the church's emblem on its hilt, this one is plain. He asks Savada if it has another form, but she explains her benefactor never mentioned any special features. Running his fingers along the blade, Berg concludes that it is a fine sword with profound power, despite only being similar in shape. Suddenly excited, Professor Berg asks for an introduction to her benefactor, but Savada explains he has no fixed abode. Berg cheerfully accepts her answer, commenting that great masters often have their quirks. With the matter seemingly settled, he asks if the match can now continue. Princess Sophia seethes with rage, unable to accept that the sword has been deemed legitimate. Estelle adds that if any doubts remain, they can summon the light envoy who was patrolling the palace just yesterday. Realizing he's been cornered, Prince Alten thinks that pursuing the matter further will only bring him disgrace. Prince Alten officially declares the match to be his sister's loss, prompting an outraged cry from Sophia. He silences her protest, pointing out that her companion beast is incapacitated and the outcome is already decided. Turning to Savada, Prince Alten compliments her strength and wishes her well in the upcoming matches. He extends his hand, offering a handshake as a sign of sportsmanship. Savada stares blankly at his outstretched hand, remaining silent. She pointedly turns away, leaving him stunned. He thinks of her arrogance and resolves to win the upcoming talent competition. As the scene transitions to a warm fireplace, a narrator notes Prince Alten's reputation for having a rare, divine companion beast. Savada now sits with Estelle, Elio, and Professor Berg around a table. Professor Berg praises Savada's incredible talent and impulsively asks her to become his disciple. Estelle explains to a surprised Savada that her teacher's power is equivalent to a rare 7-star mage. Savada recalls her earlier conversation with Estelle and Elio, where Elio mentioned rumors that the magic department students were weaker than the warrior departments. A hand slams down on the table in fury as someone demands to know who is spreading such rumors. Professor Berg erupts, declaring the magic department's superiority, while Estelle desperately tries to calm him down. Composing himself, Berg argues that their department's education is better and insists Savada's magical talent would be wasted on physical training. Savada gently shakes her head, stating her belief that true power is a balance of both. Professor Berg concedes her point has merit but cautions that most people can only master one discipline in their lifetime. Suddenly filled with passion, he gives her a thumbs up and promises to support her ambitions wholeheartedly. Savada reflects on Estelle's kindness and her promise to consider joining the magic department. Sensing her hesitation, the light blue-haired man offers to help her with whatever problem she is facing. Savada looks troubled as she asks if he knows about the secret art of stealing another's companion beast. The light blue-haired man's expression hardens at her question. Professor Berg is shocked, asking why she would inquire about such a dangerous and forbidden form of black magic. With a dark look, Savada wonders aloud if Prince Alten's companion beast was originally hers. The shocking implication stuns Professor Berg, Elio, and Estelle. Professor Berg asks if she's serious, and Savada confirms it, revealing how Alten schemed against her and left her for dead in a deep abyss. She lowers her head, overcome by the painful memory of his betrayal. Turning to Estelle, she apologizes for using a false name, explaining she must do so until she achieves her revenge. Estelle takes Savada's hands, offering her silent, unwavering support. Looking toward her teacher, Estelle calls out to him with purpose. Professor Berg realizes that if Savada's claim is true, he has found a once-in-a-generation talent. Filled with determination, he resolves to help his future disciple and seize this incredible opportunity. Savada offers her new mentor a small, grateful smile and a quiet thank you. The scene shifts to a grand room where Prince Alten stands before a line of mysterious black-hooded figures. 3 of the hooded men, all with graying beards, exchange nervous glances. A gray-bearded man in a black hood warns Prince Alten that acting extremely could permanently damage their target, which was already weakened by their plundering method. Ignoring the warning, Prince Alten unleashes a powerful gale flash attack. With a rush of wind, Prince Alten speeds past a hooded figure in a blur of golden light. Roar! A massive, winged unicorn is engulfed in flames, crying out in agony as a small, cloaked figure looks on. Back in the arena, Savada tears off her own cloak with fierce determination. Facing the enraged, fiery beast, Savada realizes her companion, Dracon, doesn't recognize her, and their telepathic link is blocked. Prince Alten smirks, boasting that his divine beast is far superior to Savada's artifacts. Savada glares back with utter contempt, calling him a shameless fellow. In the stands, Professor Berg wonders aloud why Savada seems ready to attack the beast if it's actually hers. Estelle observes the beast's violent aura, concluding that it has lost its sanity. Professor Berg suspects the Finero kingdom is responsible and decides they must wait for Savada to reclaim the beast before intervening, as planned. The frenzied beast strikes, sending Savada flying across the arena as Estelle screams her name in horror. Elio shakes his head, reminding the others that this is Savada's revenge and they must wait. Elio quietly hopes that the mysterious figure from before will appear if Savada's life is truly in danger. The trio watches with grave concern as Professor Berg mutters Savada's name. With a fierce look, Savada raises her golden sword, parrying the attack with a burst of purple energy. Prince Alten holds the chains, controlling the wounded, white-winged beast, as Savada thinks he is truly seeking death. Deciding not to waste energy trapping him, Savada glares as the enraged beast roars. The magnificent winged unicorn crackles with powerful golden lightning. Savada reaches out with a bleeding hand as the electrical energy surges toward her. With a determined cry, she shouts the command to seal. The golden lightning transforms into chains of energy, binding the struggling unicorn. The beast's red eyes glow as the magical seal takes hold. Recognizing her use of blood magic, Prince Alten refuses to be underestimated and prepares a thunder summon. A small, horned, winged creature appears amidst purple lightning, vowing to protect its master as Savada is suddenly bound in golden chains. Prince Alten smirks, surprised to learn that she is also a summoner. He smugly declares that both she and her summon are waiting to die, and that he will graciously bury them together. Bleeding and bruised, Savada looks up at him and asks if he's found his stolen divine beast to be useful. Enraged, Prince Alten unleashes a thunderstrike, but is shocked when his spell fails, wondering what's happening. A massive, glowing blue magic circle spreads across the arena floor, trapping Prince Alten and his beast within its crackling energy. Her face a mask of fury, Savada vows that stolen things must be returned and that today he will repay her in full. The scene abruptly shifts to a brown-haired man lunging forward, unleashing a powerful beam of energy. A narrator explains the legend of the Grand Hybrid, an angel-demon offspring who, as an apex hybrid, can destroy the universe. A man in a suit floats in a void, ethereal green wings and waves of blue energy flowing behind him. A promotional image displays a menacing red eye within a web of red lightning, advertising a new project. Returning to the arena, Prince Alten brandishes a magnificent golden staff, gathering his power. Ugh! He strains, struggling to maintain control of his weapon against the overwhelming magical pressure. The gray-bearded elder shouts for the prince to hold on, but Professor Berg stops him, reminding him that spectators must not intervene. The elder accuses Savada of using forbidden techniques, but Berg sarcastically notes that the Finero kingdom's elders seem to be experts on the subject. In a framed portrait, Professor Berg explains that since high-ranking envoys are present and silent, there must be a reason they haven't intervened. He sternly advises the elder not to treat everyone like fools, leaving the man speechless and panting with frustration. Prince Alten panics, realizing she created a magic array that is draining his power just like when he first stole the beast. In horrified denial, he refuses to believe she is the talentless girl he left for dead, and demands to know her true identity. With a faint smirk, Savada's dark hair begins to transform into flowing blonde locks as she offers a cold apology. The transformation completes, revealing Aura in her true blonde-haired form, who states she was lucky not to die, leaving Prince Alten stunned. Aura publicly accuses Prince Alten of the Finero kingdom of stealing her companion beast, Dracon, and attempting to murder her. Gripping her sword, she vows that today, as Aura, she will personally reclaim everything that belongs to her. She lunges through the air, sword aimed directly at the powerless and terrified Prince Alten. Spectators in the crowd murmur in disbelief, with one noting that the referee's inaction suggests her accusation is probably true. Trapped by golden energy, Prince Alten frantically denies everything, shouting that she is a liar and the divine beast was always his. Prince Alten commands his chained beast to attack, its red eyes glowing with fury as it roars. Holding her small summon, Aura desperately calls for Dragon's true body to awaken as it roars in a frenzy. Crack! The magical chains shatter, leaving Prince Alten staring in utter disbelief. Aura calls out to Dragon, who confirms the binding contract has vanished, wondering what happened. As Dragon stands peacefully beside Aura, a defeated Prince Alten pants in denial, unable to accept the turn of events. Pleading for his divine beast back, Prince Alten reels in agony, realizing the forbidden spell has been broken and is now backlashing. He violently coughs up blood as the backlash from the forbidden magic racks his body. Aura declares she has severed the forced contract, while Dragon glares down at the prince, calling him a cunning scoundrel. Promising to feast on his flesh, Dragon unleashes a powerful stream of fire, shouting for the prince to die. Engulfed in flames, Prince Alten cries out in shock as his staff begins to burn from the intense heat. Clatter! His staff shatters as he wonders how this is possible, while spectators realize Aura's power surpasses his own. Dragon looms over the prince, whose spirit is broken as he realizes everything is over. As the fiery beast roars, a terrified Prince Alten collapses and screams his surrender. Suddenly, a mysterious hooded figure appears, effortlessly stopping the flames and questioning the prince's surrender as Aura watches. Aura looks on, her mind resolved. She cannot simply let him go after everything he has done. A menacing red eye appears in a web of lightning, advertising a new project. Kneeling in defeat, Prince Alten can't believe he lost to the trash he left for dead, wondering what she endured to become so powerful. Alten resolves to eliminate her, but Aura taunts him for hiding behind others, leaving him speechless with rage. As his retainers urge him to leave, Aura shouts to the crowd that his silence is an admission of guilt. She condemns the prince for using forbidden techniques and murder, declaring the entire Finero royal family despicable. Enraged, Prince Alten refutes her claims, accusing her of using a false identity and forbidden magic to steal his beast. He orders his men to seize her, but they hesitate, caught between his command and the public spectacle. An elder advises him against acting rashly, but Alten ignores him, consumed by his need for revenge, as Aura mockingly invites a discussion. Her eyes burn with a golden light, revealing her unshakable resolve. She challenges the prince's narrative, demanding to know who is truly the liar. The prince's hooded retainers conspire, deciding they must kill Aura now while she is vulnerable, and before her new alliances make her untouchable. The gray-bearded elder unleashes his power, casting a spell to seal the entire arena within a boundary. From the stands, Estelle and Professor Berg watch in horror, realizing the boundary has been raised to trap and harm Aura. In a blur of motion, someone rises to their feet with urgent intent. Professor Berg urgently declares they must break the boundary, praying Aura can hold out until they do. Estelle desperately cries out for Aura to hold on, as the light blue-haired man watches with a grim, determined expression. The light blue-haired man scoffs at their foolishness, annoyed that the ensuing chaos will obstruct his view of the show. Undaunted, Aura stands calmly within the sealed arena, ready for what comes next. Her small companion beast looks up at her with concern, murmuring her title. A look of steely determination crosses her face as she prepares for the fight. She silently instructs Dragon to hold back and watch for the perfect moment to strike. Crackling with blue lightning, Dragon acknowledges her command, ready to act on her signal. Though weakened by the reclaiming spell, Aura knows she can now draw upon Dragon's powerful elemental energy. She scoffs at their attempt to exploit her weakness, confident their plan is doomed to fail. She grunts, parrying a sudden strike from a hooded assailant, the force of the blow jarring her. Blood trickles from her lip, but her eyes blaze with unwavering defiance. A second assailant emerges, ensnaring her feet with magical green vines. Startled, she looks down to find herself trapped by the grasping vines. A third attacker leaps down from above, sword raised for a killing blow. Clang. Steel clashes against steel as she blocks the deadly overhead strike. Die, he screams, pressing his advantage, while Aura strains to hold him off, desperately buying herself more time. Panting with exertion, she grits her teeth, and endures the immense pressure of the coordinated assault. A fourth figure lunges from her blind spot, launching a devastating sneak attack. She narrowly dodges the surprise blow, leaping away as the ground is torn asunder. The attacker stares in disbelief at the now empty space, stunned that she managed to break free from the vines. The bandaged assailant stares in shock, realizing Aura can wield fire magic in addition to light and water. Another gray-haired retainer glares, vowing that her incredible talent means she absolutely must be killed today. The man lunges forward, his sword clashing violently against Aura's in a burst of energy. Aura realizes the fourth assailant is protecting Prince Alten and decides she needs to lure him away. As Prince Alten complains about the prolonged fight, his retainer reminds him that Aura's divine beast is still protecting her. The retainer suddenly realizes someone is disrupting the boundary, declaring they must act immediately. Prince Alten frantically orders another of his men to join the fight and kill her without delay. With more of his forces joining the attack, Prince Alten smirks, certain that she is now doomed. His triumphant smirk fades into confusion as he looks around the destroyed arena floor. A sudden chill runs through Prince Alten as two menacing red eyes appear in the vast darkness before him.